Hello, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome back to... Wait, what was the name of this game? Lake of Voices. Yes, that was it. A horror-themed visual novel with a tagline, anyone can be saved, but not everyone. And by far, I've already lost 2 people. In the previous episode, we crossed the treacherous bridge of Sinnlos Lake to the island that we were supposed to come and help the villagers there with some sort of looting gangsters, basically. And yeah, another person who was traveling with us fell to the Nixies, and then we met a young man towards the end of our journey who apparently went off to kill himself. So, here we are. The morning is here, and I'm almost unable to keep tears of relief from pouring out at those words. We made it through the night. We survived. No one feels the need to speak. We look at each other, an understanding passing between us. Then we find our own space, as comfortable as we can get, and lie down for the rest. We weren't able. I can't read. Then we find our own space, as comfortable as we can get, and lie down for the rest we weren't sure would ever come. There we go. My eyes slowly blink open and readjust to the brightness, what little there is. The sun is obscured by a thick layer of fog, making it impossible to estimate the time of day. I prop up my elbows and push myself up. The ground is hard and rocky, but that isn't the only reason I'm eager to get on my feet. I check my surroundings. The harsh, craggy earth of the island is interlaced with twisting vines and gnarled branches. Beside me, Bemele is still fast asleep. The guide, however, is nowhere to be seen. I realize that I don't recall seeing him lay down with everyone. It's likely he left us hours ago. Probably, yeah. There is a creeping silence here. I can't help but shudder at the hollow, aching feeling inside of me. It refuses to relent. I shift my weight back and forth, unsure what to do with myself. Memories of last night's harrowing journey flicker through my mind. Bemele wakes suddenly, rising with alarm. My mouth opens, then shuts, and after a moment of fumbling, a word finally escapes.
Hello.
Bemele gives me a gentle smile and makes his way over to me.
Morning.
A pocket of quiet descends over us. Bemele sighs. The atmosphere is weighing on him already.
We should eat something soon.
Yes.
Why are you being all so awkward? Oh, hello. A distinct... Oh, shit, Wait. What did he say? Distinct rustling of the leaves around catches my attention. The guide appears, emerging from the thicket. Thank you. I skipped that way too fast. Bemele glares at him as he makes his way over.
The Nixie will not tread on land in daylight. However, being near the shoreline is still dangerous. If you leave the center of the island, remain cautious.
Okay, thank you for
Before
that.
the sun sets, I will be in this area. It would be wise to meet me here before nightfall.
Why do you do this?
I sharply turn towards Bemele as he snarls and confronts the guide.
If you had just let him follow behind us, if you had been there before, none of this would have happened. They didn't have to die.
The guide looks away, seemingly unaffected. Are you working with the Nixies? You provide sacrifices for them.
If all you're going to do is leave everyone to be lost, then why bother guiding us at all?
Despite Bemele's several words, the guide apparently considers his place here finished. Peace here finished. He turns towards the forest area from which he came.
Wait!
Bemele calls out to the guide, reaching towards him. Before he can make contact, I quickly place a hand on his shoulder. He lowers his arms to his side, though I can still feel wrath emanating from him. We stay this way until the guide disappears from view. Bemele begins to kick at the ground, spraying tiny pieces of gravel about.
Bemele, I know you're angry, but regardless of our feelings, we need the guide. If he leaves us, we'll all die.
And we've done so well with him.
Yeah. I give him a cold glance. We won't even know which bridge to take without the guide. Bemele knows that. This needs to stop. There are people counting on us to make it back.
We can't afford to lose our way.
The anger etches into his expression, fades into sadness.
I can't stay here right now.
Quietly, I speak. I need to be alone, Bemele waits. Do I have to say anything? I'm going to speak with the guide. I ball my hands into fists, steel my will, and start advancing in the direction the guide went. I push my way through the branches and reach the other shore of the island. I look for the guide, but he's nowhere in sight. How? Where could have he gone? I search the area further without success. The island is not in any way large. If I have not found him, it can only be because he does not wish to be found. I sigh as all motivation leaves me. I think I simply need to be alone. It seems as though my wish to be alone will be granted. There is no sign that they will be returning. A cold chill somehow whips its way down my back, despite the calm of the air. I keep my gaze on the dark ground, taking a breath so deep it stings the back of my throat. As I steadily empty my lungs, I try to empty my mind of all thoughts. I do not know what I'm doing anymore. Nothing is straightforward. I find something familiar and powerful in my thoughts and latch on. The mission. I have to try and focus on the mission. I need to be strong. My eyes dart back up. Is someone watching? I wonder if I'm afraid of being seen struggling like this, or if I hope I may not be on my own here. It doesn't matter. There is still nothing but Silent Island. Silent Island. Time seems so indefinite around me, passing slowly. On this island, it almost seems to move slow as a stagnant pond. I shake my head, burying the thought. It's irrational, and I cannot bear to think of even old pond water. Gradually, my consciousness begins to include the world again. I do a few standard warm-up stretches, testing my mind and body. I don't know how long it's been, but I feel I have regained enough of my wits to continue on. I need to make sure everything is alright. Well, do that then. I head through the wooden part of the island. There isn't anything that could be called a path, but I managed to pick my way through the bush quite well. Through a thinner stand of trees, I briefly catch sight of the guide standing on one of the beaches. He seems fine, but even though I'm sure he turned his head towards me, he makes no show of acknowledging me. I continue my check without heeding that. After moving on, I find Bemele in a jagged clearing, leaning against a tree. He's already noticed me and is looking my way, smiling. As I get closer, I can pick up on the sadness behind his jovial expression.
How are you faring? Any problems?
Everything is fine. I came to check on you.
How kind. I've calmed down since then.
Good.
I'm glad to hear that. Is there any way I can help or anything you'd like to say?
He raises an eyebrow at that, his grinning becoming markedly playful.
I didn't expect to see you so worried about me, Kika.
I have to force myself not to avert my eyes at that comment, embarrassment flowing into me. The Melanin notices my reaction. He does not draw attention to it, however. Sweet of you. Instead, he throws his arms out wide with a sour expression.
Have you seen the guide?
Bemele is clearly asking out of sense of obligation and makes no secret that he is not pleased to be discussing the guide. I nod in response.
I saw him earlier. He is the same as always.
Good, good. In that case, I'm going to stretch my legs for a bit. I feel stiff from standing in one place for so long.
Didn't you guys have a mission on this island I bid him a brief goodbye. Bimala waves as he departs. You were supposed to be helping the villagers, protecting them. I find that I've been pacing back and forth for quite some time. I finished my check a while ago, so now I've nothing left to do but aimlessly wander. I've overcome with restlessness. This island may be safer than the bridges, but that is far from enough to ease the mind. Oh no, wait! The village is not on this island! Ah, now I get it. So this is only a halfway point. I quietly sigh and decide to wait on my own. If I go back now, whoever I encounter will know that I don't want to be alone. That is more troubling than simply staying where I am. I sit down and silently listen to the ambience of the island as I wait for time to pass. I can only hope this will all end before I can no longer keep myself together. The sun begins to descend in the sky and the light starts to fade into fog. I feel relieved that it is almost time to leave this island. A chill slips down my spine at the thought of what comes next, however. Bimala soon arrives. He gives me a half smile as he waves.
Hello there.
Hi. I wave back and walk over. I'm glad he's here. I don't want to be alone any longer.
Hello.
The atmosphere grows tense as the quiet stretches on. Bimala seems torn between saying something and keeping the silence. Before too long, the guide arrives. His presence snuffs out all chance of conversing, definitely. I keep my focus on steadying my breath, bracing myself for what's ahead. All three of us in an uncomfortable silence until night falls. Night settles like shroud over the land, every inch of the world now covered in unrelenting darkness. Suddenly there's gurgling. The water parts as the bridges of the Sinnlos rise, powered by some unnatural force, creaking like they might fall apart. I feel an inexplicable pounding, like hammered in the back of my head, beating faster, heavier than my own heart. I clench my teeth to stop it from churning my stomach.
We must go now.
Yes. The guide doesn't wait for any replies, briskly starting in the direction of the shore. Bimala and I match his pace. I can feel the air weighing on us, a sensation that slows our steps despite being rested. Something hovers in my mind, the mirrored memory of the beginning of the last night's journey. 1 day ago feels like a lifetime past. The thick, inky water sloshes reluctantly off the boards, bleeding back into the lake until finally stills. A shudder crawls over my body as I place my foot on the boards, but I quickly shake it off. I have no other option. We have to go through this again. All tense, a day-old corpses, we walk over the bridges in silence. The only sound that accompanies us is the thick lapping of the water at the bridge. Bimala stays close by my side, with a sour expression on his face. He evidently has little interest in masking his disgust. He murmurs something beneath his breath, but is inaudible. I decide not to ask about it. It wasn't meant for me to hear. It feels as though barely any time has passed when it is explained that half the night has crept by. We encountered a few sunken bridges which forced us to reroute, while other paths were rotten enough to make us stagger our steps. However, the biggest threat of all is eerily absent: the prowlers. I haven't seen more than shadowy glimpses of them down the other paths, and even those may have simply been tricks of the fog. I feel I may have been even more on edge tonight than the last. Judging by Bimala's tenseness, he isn't set at ease by their lack of presence either.
Why?
I whisper the question softly, almost silently, as I scan left and right across the impossibly empty bridges for any sign of movement. I ponder whether they're still wary from the consuming blaze that lit up the night yesterday, or if they are less dragging themselves across the bridges than usual because many have already gotten what they wanted. My screen crawls with a touch of icy fingers at the thought of, and I can't control the sharp shiver that travels down my spine. Bimala catches my concern, and he brings himself closer to my ear.
This isn't right. It shouldn't be nearly this easy to cross. Not after what we went through the other night.
Could they be planning something?
Might be. Bemele lightly shakes his head. He speaks with suspicion in his voice as he peers at the guide ahead.
I don't know.
As time passes by, we continue to see nothing but more bridges and fog. Beside me, Bemele is becoming more and more agitated the longer we go without disruption. I can read Bemele well enough to know that his anger is still directed at the guide rather than the bridges themselves. It was my hope that he would be able to contain his feelings towards our lead until we had put this maze behind us. This is becoming unlikely. I resolve to step in before he grows too heated, and there is yet another hazardous argument.
Your concentration is clouded, Bemele. What is troubling you?
Surely you're already aware. It's him.
Bemele glowers hatefully at the guide. I purse my lips for a moment before continuing, resigned.
I do know that. However, you need to stop allowing that to consume you, or else you could get hurt. Or even...
Killed. Bemele releases an that word right there, sigh while crossly folding his arms.
That is impossible. I can't stop myself from thinking about it. Everything makes so much sense now.
What do you mean by that?
Recall yesterday. I asked him why he would lead others at all if he was heartlessly going to leave them behind. What if this is the reason? Before, we could scarcely escape these monsters, and now I can't even hear a whisper of one. What if they're already satisfied with what they've taken?
My eyes widen and I stifle a gasp. The situation at hand, giving both of us the reason to think on that possibility, is absolutely unsettling. But his conclusion is even worse still. The notion of the guide allowing others to die unnecessarily on purpose to make it less dangerous for the remaining few, that is not something I was prepared for. Well, I kinda called that. Perhaps it was in the previous episode.
Even back when we started, the first time we met the guide, he mentioned that at least one of us would die before the journey was finished. Didn't that exchange seem strange to you? He said it as though it was a price to pay for coming with him. The guide is free to do as he pleases. He can and will threaten to leave the entire group behind at so much as a hint of resistance. Nothing is stopping him. He knew this was going to happen. He had to know.
I take a few moments to breathe. Despite the anger, I only barely resist shutting my eyes against the world.
We need to make it to the other side. We must keep moving forward and survive. The guide is our only way across.
My usual reply to Bemele's words does not make an impression. His eyes are not swayed. He continues to stare into me.
I am saying he cannot be trusted with our lives at this very moment. I need an answer to that, Kika. What do you really think?
I do not agree. We can discuss at the end. Say nothing. Yeah, this one. Coming to any decision on the matter is impossible right now. There is too much danger and too many unknowns to account for to reach any sort of conclusion. I have no choice but to shut the conversation down. I can only hope Bemele will take it seriously.
When everything is through, then we may talk about it. End of discussion.
Bemele doesn't battle me further on the issue. His face no longer retains any anger, only sorrow. He returns his gaze straight ahead. Our progress continues steadily and we still encounter no significant difficulties.
How much longer until we reach the other side? We've traveled quite a ways.
Bemele's quiet, breaking question doesn't sound particularly enthused.
It should only be another couple of hours.
Bemele is unconvinced. It is not only I who notices. The guide suddenly stops. Eerily, he turns his head to the side and looks back at us.
Is there a problem with that?
Is there?
We progressed through the bridges at a much quicker clip this time. Bemele's question was not idle curiosity. He was confirming the fact for himself. I should have known. The guide looks to be slightly irritated over the attitude Bemele has taken.
If you have something to say, you should say it. Unless you're afraid that I'm going to leave you behind.
His statement lands heavily on us. Did he listen to our conversation? There were no sounds to cover our voices. However, I had assumed we were far enough away from the guide to keep our words to ourselves. Well, honey water carries sound, so yeah, no. He stares with such an icy expression I nearly freeze in place. Bemele, on the other hand, heats up and grows more hostile. He leaves my side to rush into the guide's flickering light.
Don't.
This is going much too far. I urge him to come back. He ignores me and takes a stand facing the guide.
Am I right? Are you going to leave us behind after what I've done?
The guide isn't bothered at all by Bemele's entering his space. He gives a level answer.
No.
Well, that's grand. In that case, I'd like to know if I'm on the right track about something else. Are the monsters missing because they've already eaten? Or is there some other reason why they've all mysteriously vanished?
The guide pauses for a moment. His eyes close and he becomes completely still.
It's possible.
Bemele glares at the guide over the admittance. It's as though he heard nothing after the first line the guide spoke. The guide is unfazed.
If you enter these bridges, all you should expect is death. That is no secret. You need to stop putting so much energy into finding meaning, or else you will end up like the others.
Bemele ends up speechless, caught off guard by the guide's openly discussing his accusation. The guide continues at Bemele's silence, annoyance leaking into his voice.
You think that the results would have been different if only I had said more or did something differently. But that is not true. The conclusion would be exactly the same. If Lou hadn't died when he did, he would have been lost at some other point during the trip.
Lou?
Yes, Lou was his name. I had spoken with him in the past. He wanted to cross the bridges. I had deemed him unfit. He was far too desperate and unprepared. There's no helping someone like that.
The guide sounds even more agitated as he elaborates. Bemele seems to be finished with being surprised. His anger reignites.
If that's all well and true, why haven't you died yet? How is it that you've been able to cross these horrendous bridges over and over again without suffering the same consequences as everyone else?
The guide's face twists into a vicious snarl. He shouts,
I have died!
"Oh!"
I have no life to give! Everything I am, everything I could have been, was surrendered to this lake. That is the only reason why I'm able to stand before you now. I can show you the way, and I can give you advice on how to survive the perils you will face. That is all I'm able to offer. Is that not enough for you? What else do you want from me? Kindness, sympathy. It's been far.
Excuse me for the abrupt pause there. A courier was on my door. Anyway, moving on. Sympathy, it's been far too many years since I was capable of giving anything like that. He finally stops to catch his breath, though the emotion in his eyes still shines intently. There is no response from either of us. An agonizing silence permeates the air. No one dares to even move. The tension is cut as the boards beneath me start to crack. Crack. My arms dart down. The bridge is sinking rapidly. Instinctively, I jump backwards, but the new section of bridge groans horribly as it too starts to tilt into water. They keep getting farther and farther away with each disappearing platform I move off of.
Chica!
I look up at Bemele's call. My chest tightens when I see him and the guide on what has become the other side of the small chasm. I leap back just in time. The bridge under me snaps like a twig. Glancing over again, they keep getting further and further away with each disappearing platform I move off of. Dread creeps up my neck and I nearly lose my footing once I realize what's happening. Desperately stumbling backwards, I manage to regain my balance. I use this to leap far enough back that bridge I land on doesn't immediately start to fall apart under my weight. In another 3 swift steps, I am finally on a sturdy wood. The bridges reluctantly stop shifting and settle. The only trace left of what was once a huge section of bridge is a few splintered boards floating in the murky water. The lake consumed it. Somehow I am not surprised. Regaining my bearings, I face what has become of my circumstances. I am now separated from Bemele and the guide by a far wider gorge than anyone could leap. My throat goes bone dry as I tether at the end of the bridge, mind wildly scrambling for a solution that doesn't come. I look onto Bemele's face. He's completely aghast, darting from one side of the bridge to the other like a panicked animal. There is no mistaking that he's desperate to help me in some way. However, there's also no mistaking that there aren't any options available to him. He turns to the guide with pleading eyes, and his earlier hostility sunken with the bridges. I'm too far off to grasp what Bemele is asking, but I get the impression he's seeing if there's another way. The guide turns to me. He's completely cooled down from the earlier interaction, back to his same placid expression. He focuses back on Bemele, who has now gripped him by the cloak. The guide says one word. Judging from the look of pure terror on Bemele's face, I can only assume it was no. There is no way back to them. The guide frees himself from Bemele's grasp and continues speaking. Bemele still seems horribly shaking at his words. I can barely see from here, but I think he's quivering. As I watch the two discuss my fate, unable to say anything, fear starts to crawl over me. My arms run cool to cold to freezing. It is not long before the rest of my body follows. I notice Bemele cover his face with a still shuddering hand. The guide's voice echoes loudly across the waters, separating me from them.
Go back and take the next bridge you come across that goes west. There may be enough time for you to find your own way.
West, you say? Okay. I blink, taken aback for a moment before I quickly regain my composure. That's right. This isn't over. I still have my lantern with me, the prowlers are less active, and if the guide says that it is possible, it could be true. I nod solemnly at his words and yell back.
I'll meet you there! Don't wait for me!
He bows his head and starts to slowly back away from the edge. Bemele pulls his head from his hand to look at me. Even across the water, I can tell that he's crying. I smile forlornly at him as the wind whips against my back. I speak softly.
You need to go.
There is no way he could have heard me, yet I am confident that the sentiment got across. I spin on my heels and run back the way we came, searching for the bridge the guide said to take. I can only hope that we all safely reunite before this night ends. I spare a brief glance behind me, however there is not a trace of them or even the dead end I was stranded at. With a painful contracting of my heart, I realize that I am truly alone now. Quickly I shake off the thought of and refocus my attention to what's in front of me. The first branching of the path comes into reach. I skid into full stop in front of it. The path west is as dark and desolate as every bridge. It's impossible to see what's down the twisting way. The previous conversation comes floating back to me. Now that I am here, I must face that concern. Is the guide reliable? Can he be trusted? I had to leave so they could go on without being weighed down. That I don't regret. However, I can't help but wonder if the guide couldn't give me a proper suggestion because of the sinking bridges. A mistake could have been made. It is also possible he knowingly gave false hope to keep the situation calm. Or perhaps he intentionally set me to the wrong path because it would be easier for them if I did not make it. I look between the pathways. Based on my direction, it does seem as though other options could potentially connect to me before the west does. Yet I cannot possibly know until I move forward. I need to make a decision. I'm gonna trust the guide. After all, I think we're paying him, so... No, I can't allow doubt to take control. We've known from the beginning that there is only one path that has led travelers to safety. His. I will take the guide on his words. And without wasting an additional moment, I make my way across the western bridge. I walk at moderately brisk pace, not wanting to risk tripping or running out of energy in a moment when I need it. The eeriness of the lake was disconcerting before. Now it's overwhelming. The blizzard-like fog drifting over the waters limits my vision to the span of my arms. There are dudes there. The other's silence was comfort, despite how otherworldly it felt, but the whispering of the lake has started to stir now. I gulp despite myself. They've noticed me. As their chattering grows, I consider briefly if the others hear them as well, or if they have come out specifically because I am on my own. I straighten my back and walk more surely. I cannot let them believe I am an easy target. I even consider keeping my sword in hand, but it doesn't seem entirely likely they would realize it is something that could hurt them. To keep my mind from wandering into dark places, I count my steps like we used to do in training. 1, 2, 3, 4. Despite my best efforts, things are starting to get to me. My worries wash over me, causing painful twinges underneath my clothes that make me jerk and twitch like a fly-bitten horse. The whispering in human voices, the feeling of vulnerability, the horrible thought of being hopelessly lost, all melded together is consuming me. My pace breaks from the steady rhythm of my counting set. It quickens more as I start to succumb to fear. My brisk step turns into long, frantic strides. Something in me whispers, "Faster, go faster, don't let them catch you." And I listen. I break into a run, like moving on landmines, flashing of fear explode in my mind and drive my feet harder, faster, stronger along the path. Until suddenly, my sense of reason returns and I stop dead. My chest rises and falls with deep, heaving breaths as I try to calm myself down. The monsters erupt into an inharmonious chorus of what sounds to be wicked laughs. I fight the urge to shout back at the creatures. This feels like a nightmare I will never wake up from. I take another breath and resume my measured progress. Even after the first crossroads, I continue with the guide's simple direction, keeping west every chance I get. I have no other hints for this labyrinth. It's difficult to tell how much time has passed. It must be at least an hour, judging by how much energy I've expended. Since I recomposed myself, I have not stopped walking for a second. Despite how much time has worn on, the road still feels like an endless abyss. Then I hear a noise, which causes a shuddering chill to creep down my spine. An uneven licking, followed by a squelching sound. It's a prowler. I immediately turn behind me. There's nothing. I breathe out, relieved. I was actually expecting it to be in front of me then. My ears search for the source of the noise, but with all the babble the Nixie are making, the direction is clouded. I strain my ears. That's it. The noise is drifting slowly from one of the connecting paths up ahead. I can faintly tell the noise is drawing nearer. The prowler has not arrived yet, but soon its path will intercept with my own. I will not wait for it to relieve itself, leaving me two options. I can run past the bridge connection to get ahead of it, or I turn back and find a new path to take. Go past. I have faith that following the same path I've been is for the best. I steel myself and build up speed. I get closer and closer to the branch with the lurking threat and pick up my pace so I'm sprinting. I hear the gurgling hiss as I pass through the crossroads. It must have been close enough to be pained by the light. I barely made it. However, I didn't hear any splash. It's still nearby. I look behind me to see if at least it decided to come no further. Nope, there it is. Horrified, I realize it's pointedly following me. It's no longer mindlessly dragging itself through the blackness. I've become its target. Its limbs bend wildly and unnaturally. It looks as though it's only barely keeping itself upright as its torso wobbles on its hips. That isn't stopping it from giving a chase. I focus my view back ahead and continue to run. My breathing rapidly becomes ragged. I can still hear the squishing footsteps of the prowler behind me as it lunges its body forward. The unnatural gait. Without warning, the bridge lurches to one side, catching me completely off guard. I lose my footing and slam into the damp surface of the bridge. My light falls with me, painfully snuffing out. Splashes and the excited stirring of many voices come from the lake. How? Why? Is it rotting, or did they push the support beams? I'm left with no time to ponder the mystery as the monster draws near. I scramble back onto my feet as it closes in. Grabbing my dark lantern, I resume running to put some space between us again. I open the latch on the lantern and pull out a match. I'll have to slow down, at least briefly, to properly light the flame without blowing it out. The death's still on my heels. I must not let one precious moment be wasted. Set on my plan, and with everything in hand, I begin to decrease my pace. Light the lantern! Shit. I should have kept my hand on the mouse. I let out a loud scream as the prowler latches onto my body from behind. No, 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 no. It slashes its long claws against the armor of my side. I wince. It hisses violently as we struggle madly against each other. I try to fight down the pain, but it scratches at me again. I still resist against the creature, trying to pull it off of me. It is of no use. Its strength is beyond that of any human. I dig my heels into the boards, one last desperate attempt to escape, but soon I'm aware the Nyx has me at the bridge edge. I push against it still, before it hurls its body off the bridge, bringing me down along with it. Water engulfs my vision, heavy and cold, so thick I can't even hear my own thrashing. I try to grab my sword, try to fight back, but I can't even get it out of the hilt. The resistance against me is all-encompassing. Something grabs my arm, then my waist. I get pulled from side to side, or further down, first one way then the other. The water feels like a solid substance, and being dragged against it is like I'm being pressed through something. My vision grows darker and darker. I can't tell whether I'm going lower or whether I'm losing consciousness. My arms flail, bringing me closer to whatever the surface is, but nothing's working. Complete darkness engulfs me. Was everything I've done worth it? I must believe that it was. Well, I guess that was it again. Yeah. I made a mistake there. I had my hands off of the mouse, and then the lantern lighting thing came really fast, and the time window there was really, really short, and I was late, and the cursor was somewhere all like in a different monitor or something. Well, crap. I think I'm going to leave this episode of Lake of Voices right here and give this one more try. I will probably start the next episode somewhere where I last saved, or at some time before the lantern goes out, to try and at least get to the end of the journey. This is surprisingly difficult. It's an interesting concept, really. I like it. I really do. But anyway, thank you for watching this episode of Lake of Voices. If you liked it, let me know. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you again next time.